There is a specific kind of heartbreak that comes from standing in your own garden, the sun beating down on the back of your neck, and watching a plant you have watered, weeded, and worried over simply refuse to give you what it promised. You can smell it before you see it. It is not the sharp, green scent of healthy growth, but a faint, dusty dryness in the air. You look at that bell pepper plant, the one you bought for $3.50 because the tag said, "Early Giant," and you see the leaves curling inward like old paper. You see the flowers dropping off before they even have a chance to turn into fruit. Or worse, you see the fruit form, small and misshapen, rotting on the vine, while the rest of the plant looks tired and defeated. You feel a small knot of guilt in your stomach. You think you did something wrong. You think maybe you didn't water it enough, or maybe you gave it too much sun, or perhaps you are just not cut out for this life of growing your own food. You look at the empty space in your pantry where those crisp, sweet peppers should be hanging in a basket, and you feel the weight of wasted money. $3.50 doesn't sound like much until you multiply it by every failed seed packet, every wilted transplant, and every season that ends with more disappointment than harvest. But I am here to tell you that this failure is not your fault. The world has moved so fast that it has forgotten the slow, quiet wisdom of the soil. We have been taught to rush, to force, to demand immediate results from living things that operate on their own ancient clock. By the time you finish listening to me today, you will understand why your peppers have been struggling, and you will hold in your hands the verified rules to ensure that never happens again. You will learn the secret of the triple yield, a method that turns a single, struggling plant into a powerhouse of production. I am Isaac Beiler, and I keep house and farm here in Lancaster County the way it was handed down to me before the world got so fast. My hands are rough from work, and my knowledge is plain, but it is true. I do not speak in riddles, and I do not sell you dreams. I share what works, what has worked for my father and his father before him, confirmed by the science that underlies all good farming. If you value this kind of plain, practical know-how that the world is trying to bury under layers of marketing and convenience, I would ask you to subscribe to this channel. It helps us keep these old traditions alive for the next generation, so that when the shelves are bare or the prices are too high, our children will know how to feed themselves. Now, one honest word so you trust me. Pinching the first flower will not give you a pepper tomorrow. It requires patience. It requires you to deny yourself a small reward now for a massive reward later. If you are looking for instant gratification, this is not for you. But if you are looking for abundance, stay with me. We live in a system that profits from your confusion. Walk into any large grocery store and you will see rows of perfect waxed bell peppers, uniform in size and color. They look beautiful, but they are hollow. The big agricultural brands and the seed companies want you to believe that gardening is complicated. They want you to buy special fertilizers, special sprays, and special pots. They want you to feel inadequate so that you keep buying solutions to problems they helped create. The modern market runs itself on waste. It wastes your money, it wastes your time, and it wastes the potential of the land. They sell you the idea that more is better, more chemicals, more water, more intervention. But plain knowledge costs only pocket change. It costs attention. It costs observation. When you understand how a plant thinks, you do not need to bribe it with expensive products. You simply need to guide it. The grocery chain does not want you to know that a single plant, treated with respect and proper technique, can outproduce 3 plants treated with haste. They want you to buy 3 plants next year. I want you to buy 1. And have so many peppers you do not know what to do with them. Here is the first rule, and it is the most important one you will ever learn about peppers. You must pinch the first flower. When your pepper plant is young, perhaps only 6 or 8 inches tall, it will try to produce a flower. It is eager to reproduce. It sees the sun and thinks, I must make seeds. But if you let that first flower stay, the plant will divert all its energy into making that one small, often misshapen pepper. The roots will remain shallow, the stem will remain thin. The plant will stunt itself because it is trying to be a parent before it is strong enough to be a provider. You must take your thumb and forefinger and gently snap that first flower off. Do not be sentimental. It feels cruel, but it is mercy. By removing that first flower, you signal to the plant that it is not yet time to fruit. The plant responds by sending its energy downward into the root system. It builds a foundation. It grows thicker stems and broader leaves. This is the horticultural science of apical dominance and resource allocation. You are trading one small early pepper for a structure that can support 20 large ones later. Wait until the plant has at least 6 to 8 sets of true leaves before you allow any flowers to set. This is the difference between a plant that survives and a plant that thrives. The second rule concerns the soil beneath your feet. You must look at the texture of your earth. Pick up a handful of soil from around the base of your pepper plant. Squeeze it gently. If it forms a tight ball that does not break apart, it is too heavy with clay. If it falls through your fingers like sand, it holds no memory of water. Peppers need a balance. They need soil that breathes. In the old way, we call this living dirt. It should crumble easily but hold together slightly when moist. The scientific reason is oxygen availability to the roots. Pepper roots are sensitive. They suffocate in waterlogged, compacted soil. If your soil is heavy, you must amend it with organic matter, compost, leaf mold, or well-rotted manure. But remember, the line between medicine and poison is the dose. Do not dump a wheelbarrow of fresh manure on a young plant. That will burn the roots. Use level measurements. Mix 1 part compost to 3 parts native soil. This creates a sponge that holds moisture but drains excess water. Your eyes should see dark, rich earth, not pale dust or sticky mud. Your hands should feel cool and loose. This environment allows the roots to expand rapidly after you have pinched that first flower, creating the anchor needed for the triple yield. The third rule is about light, but not just any light. Peppers are sun worshippers, but they are also heat sensitive. You must watch the shadow of your plant at noon. If the shadow is short and directly beneath the plant, it is getting full sun. This is good, but only if the air is moving. Stagnant hot air cooks the pollen. If the pollen is cooked, the flower drops and no fruit forms. This is called blossom drop. To prevent this, ensure your plants are spaced properly. Do not crowd them. Give each plant room to breathe. In traditional terms, we say the plant needs elbow room. Scientifically, this ensures adequate airflow to regulate temperature and humidity around the foliage. If you are growing in containers, place them where the afternoon breeze can reach them. If you are in the ground, orient your rows north to south so the sun moves evenly across both sides of the plant. Look at the leaves. They should be a deep, glossy green. If they are pale or yellowing, they are stressed by either too much shade or too much heat. Adjust accordingly. A stressed plant will not give you a triple yield. It will give you a struggle. The fourth rule deals with water, and here is where most people fail. You must learn to read the thirst of the plant. Do not water on a schedule. Water on need. Stick your finger into the soil up to the second knuckle. If it is dry, water deeply. If it is damp, wait. Peppers hate wet feet. Consistent moisture is key, but fluctuating moisture causes blossom end rot. This is a condition where the bottom of the pepper turns black and rots. It is not a disease, it is a calcium deficiency caused by irregular watering. When the soil dries out completely, the plant cannot uptake calcium, even if there is plenty in the soil. So, consistency is the medicine. Mulch is your friend here. Apply 2 inches of straw or shredded leaves around the base of the plant. This keeps the soil temperature stable and the moisture level even. Look at the mulch. If it is matted down, fluff it up. If it is blowing away, add more. The goal is a blanket that protects the roots from the harsh swings of the weather. Remember, a level cup of water is better than a gallon dumped once a week. Small, frequent checks are better than large, infrequent floods. The fifth rule is about feeding, but not with the harsh chemicals sold in bright blue bottles. Peppers are moderate feeders. They do not need a feast. They need a steady diet. Too much nitrogen, which is found in most lawn fertilizers, will give you a huge, bushy plant with no fruit. This is called vegetative growth, at the expense of reproductive growth. You want balance. Use a fertilizer that is higher in phosphorus and potassium, the numbers on the bag that come after the first number. For example, a 5-10-10 mix is better than a 10-10-10 for peppers. But even better is the old way. Compost tea. Steep a shovel of finished compost in a 5-gallon bucket of water for 3 days. Strain it. Use 1 cup of this liquid per plant, once every 2 weeks. This provides micronutrients that synthetic fertilizers miss. Look at the plant's vigor. If it is growing slowly, it may need food. If it is growing wildly with dark, lush leaves but no flowers, you have given it too much nitrogen. Stop feeding immediately. The line between medicine and poison is the dose. Always use level measurements. 1 cup, not a guess. 2 weeks, not whenever you remember. Precision brings peace. The 6th rule is the return of the pinch. Once the plant has established its root system and grown strong, it will begin to branch out. At the first major fork, where the main stem splits into 2 or 3 branches, you have a choice. Some gardeners let all branches grow, but for the triple yield, you must prune selectively. Remove any weak, spindly branches that grow inward toward the center of the plant. These branches will never get enough light and will only steal energy. Keep the strong, outward-growing branches. This opens up the center of the plant, allowing light to penetrate deep into the foliage. This is crucial for ripening. Peppers need light to change color and develop sugar. If the center is dense and dark, the inner peppers will remain small and green. By pruning for airflow and light, you ensure that every pepper on the plant gets its share of the sun. Use clean shears. Wipe them with alcohol between plants to prevent spreading disease. Listen to the snip. It should be clean, not crushing. A crushed stem invites rot. A clean cut heals quickly. The 7th rule is patience during the harvest. Do not pull the peppers, cut them. When a pepper is ready, it will be firm and glossy. Use scissors or a knife to cut the stem about an inch above the fruit. Pulling can damage the branch, breaking off future flower buds. This is critical for the triple yield. If you damage the branch, the plant stops producing on that limb. By cutting cleanly, you preserve the energy of the plant for the next flush of flowers. And there will be a next flush. Peppers are indeterminate in many varieties, meaning they will continue to flower and fruit until the frost kills them. The first harvest is small. The second is larger. The third, if you have followed these rules, is the bounty. This is the triple yield. The first wave tests the plant. The second wave builds momentum. The third wave is the explosion of productivity that comes from a well-established, well-pruned, well-fed plant. Watch the color. Green peppers are unripe. Red, yellow, or orange peppers are ripe and sweeter. Leaving them on the plant longer signals the plant to produce more, but only if the plant is healthy. If the plant is struggling, harvest early to relieve the burden. Know your plant. Talk to it. It listens. In my kitchen, and in the kitchens of my neighbors, there is no such thing as garbage. This is a core belief. When you harvest your peppers, you will have stems, cores, and seeds. Most people throw these away. This is a mistake. The stems and cores contain high concentrations of vitamins and flavor. Chop them finely, add them to your stock pot, let them simmer with your bones and vegetables. They will impart a subtle sweet pepper essence that elevates the entire broth. The seeds can be dried and ground into a mild pepper powder, or saved for next year's planting if they are from an open-pollinated variety. Even the leaves, though not commonly eaten, can be used in small amounts to flavor oils, similar to bay leaves. In a kitchen run with care, every part of the plant has a purpose. To throw it away is to insult the labor of the earth. It is to say that your time and the plant's life are worthless. We do not believe that. We believe that waste is a failure of imagination. When you use the whole plant, you honor the gift. You close the loop. You teach your children that resources are precious and that creativity can turn what others discard into treasure. This mindset extends beyond the kitchen. It extends to how you view your life. Nothing is wasted if it is used with intention. Let us speak plainly about the cost. A single bell pepper plant grown from a quality transplant costs about $3.50. A bag of compost costs $5. A bottle of organic fertilizer costs $10. Total investment, less than $20. In return, a well-tended plant using the triple yield method can produce 15 to 20 pounds of peppers in a season. At the grocery store, organic bell peppers cost $2 per pound. That is $30 to $40 worth of produce from one plant. If you grow 3 plants, you have over $100 of food for less than $60 in supplies. But the savings are not just financial. Consider the quality. Store-bought peppers are often picked weeks before they are ripe, shipped thousands of miles, and stored in cold rooms. They lose their nutrients and their flavor. Your homegrown peppers are picked at the peak of ripeness, full of vitamins C and A, and bursting with sweetness. For children, this is invaluable. When a child bites into a pepper they grew themselves, they learn the connection between effort and reward. They learn what real food tastes like. They learn that nature is generous to those who are patient. This lesson is worth more than any dollar amount. It builds character. It builds health. It builds a family that is resilient and self-reliant. I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments what state you are in, what county, and how old your house is. I read every word. I like to know who is listening, who is keeping these traditions alive in their own corners of the world. Whether you are in a high-rise in New York or a farmhouse in Ohio, we are connected by the soil and the desire to do things right. If you have found value in this plain talk, please subscribe. It is a simple click, but it means the world to us. It tells the algorithm that there is still a hunger for truth, for slowness, for wisdom that does not shout. And keep an eye out for the next video. I will be sharing a secret that most people overlook, something you likely have in your fireplace or fire pit right now. I will show you what a single cup of wood ash does to your lawn and your garden beds. It is not waste, it is gold. But you must know how to use it, or it will harm what you love. Until then, keep your hands in the dirt, your heart open, and your mind steady. The harvest is coming.